Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Hello, everybody, and welcome into episode 12 of the Navs Nation podcast. It's the episode right before the playoffs. You know, Gus and I here have been talking at length about the playoffs and everything that's going on with the NECBL as the regular season comes to a close. And it's very hectic, and we're getting really down to the wire here as the Navs will head to Keene on Monday night as we're recording this. And then Tuesday, that will decide where Tuesday's playoff game is going to be held, whether that be in Montpelier or in Lynn, Massachusetts. We want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by Remax 360 Real Estate Office, which is located at 85 Exchange Street at Suite 302 in Lynn. You can contact them at 781-593-7611. But now I'll bring in Gus to talk about that, you know, the craziness of the playoffs and, you know, tonight's game up at Keene and the implications of that.
Yeah, definitely. This is a big game tonight, no question about it. Big game for the Navigators. If they win tonight, this is the situation. I actually tweeted this out this morning on Monday morning. This is the situation. So if the Navs win tonight, they will host the playoffs. They'll host the Vermont Mountaineers tomorrow night at Frazier Field. If the Swamp Bats win tonight, the Navigators will be on the road against the Vermont Mountaineers tomorrow night. So that is how this game means a lot for both these teams as they try to get that playoff spot. That 4 seat's very crucial, as you obviously don't want to have to travel to a playoff game in the first round.
Yeah, and that first round playoff game is a single elimination. So home field just means so much more, I believe, when it comes to that first round game. So that's what tonight's all about, and there's a lot at stake around the league. The North and South Division tonight is going to be some crazy playoff implications in a bunch of finales tonight. So looking forward to that. Tonight's game against Keene will be a makeup, Gus, from Thursday night. That game was not able to be played. It'll be made up tonight as the finale of the regular season on the road. But on Friday, the Navs fell to Upper Valley at home in an 11-inning thriller. It ended with fireworks still, as it was Fireworks Friday, but the Navs were held to just 5 hits and fell after leaving 12 runners stranded. Couple errors in that last inning that sealed the deal for Upper Valley. So, you know, Friday wasn't the night we wanted with the Firework Friday.
No, it's definitely a tough loss. Upper Valley, though, played very well and was able to get a couple big hits. And you talk about runners left on base. That was a theme that transitioned into Sunday's game as well, as the Navigators in the second game of the doubleheader left a lot of guys on base. And we'll get some more of that in just a moment. But then the Navigators came back, and on Saturday, they beat the Vermont Mountaineers on the road in what was a very gutsy win. It was a very gutsy win that the Navigators were able to pull off after being down 3-0, winning the game 7-6. David Cal Cristofori had a great game for themselves. 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Joe Lamuscio scored 2 runs himself, and Kale also reached 4 times in total. So it was definitely a gutsy performance on Saturday and what was a huge win at the time.
Yeah, a great win. And, you know, it kind of just showed me that, you know, with playoff race on the line and seeding on the line, the Navs were able to just, you know, really grind it out there up in Montpelier. And, you know, although there was a comeback attempt late, the Navigators were able to hold on to that one. And it was just a great performance by them. And that led into Sunday. And Sunday's regular season finale was a little bit spoiled by a Game 2 loss as the Navs and the Sanford Mainers split a doubleheader. But in Game 1, Logan Bravo with the heroics yet again as he tied it up at 3 with a solo blast. That tied it up, and then he hit a grand slam, which blew it wide open. That was part of a 7-run inning in the 7th, and that made a career best for him with 6 RBIs. He combined for 10 RBIs total with Lamuscio. He led the league in homers with 14, and, you know, as good of a day as Bravo had, I think, you know, what really stood out to me was the start from, you know, I can't say that. I want to say Jeffries had a good start, but I don't want to say it was better than Bravo's performance.
No.
Okay. So just a great game from Bravo yet again, and Lamuscio as well. And, you know, that leads us into tonight. And as we mentioned, the Navigators win. They control their own destiny, and they're hosting on tomorrow night, on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it should be a great game. That's going to be away at Keene. So I'll be on the call on the NECBL Broadcast Network. So make sure to tune in. And what will be a huge win for that game. Also, the Steeplecats and Upper Valley are playing today. They're playing a makeup game as well. Winner of that game gets the 2 seed. Loser gets the 3 seed, although that 2-3 will only determine who they would face in the first round. But today we were able to record a very special interview with the honorary general manager of the Navigators, Nick Jarvis, after this doubleheader on Sunday. Nick Jarvis is a great influence for the Navigators, and it was a pleasure to get to talk to him. So without further, let's get into it. So here is our interview with Nick Jarvis.
We now welcome on a very special guest to the Navs Nation podcast. The honorary general manager, Nick Jarvis, joins us for a playoff special. Playoffs begin this week. So, Nick Jarvis, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I am very good. Looking forward to playoffs and hopefully being here at beautiful Fraser Field.
It's awesome. We don't know the playoff seedings yet, but we're definitely looking at it as we speak. Right now, the Navigators, we're recording this after the doubleheader on Sunday. Tough loss in the second game, but a big win in the first game. What did you see out of the first 2 games today in this doubleheader?
First game, we were already up 2-0 since it was a suspended game from last week. Then basically took maybe an inning or so, and then we just clicked fire. I'd like to give all the credit to Logan Bravo. If we didn't have him able to play, I think we'd be in a bad spot. But game 2, we had more chances, probably could have won, but tough to lose games down the stretch either way.
Yeah, Nick, and it's been great to see you out there this season and out there again today, and get to know you a little bit better. But this year, you've been down on the field with the team every game. What's it been like to be in the dugout with the guys and kind of feed off their energy? I hear you cheering them on more than anyone in the stand. So what has it been like for you to have that experience with the guys?
It's definitely a better feeling than last year where I tried to be with the team in the dugout and 4 games, but obviously due to COVID and every circumstance, I wasn't able to be with the team last year. So it finally feels like it's back to normal and back to something I'm able to enjoy by being here, enjoying summer, enjoying doing what I've done in the past. Been here for a few years and it's quite enjoyable.
You talk about, obviously, you've been here for a few years. You've been here since 2015. You and I were talking before we started recording. What got you into playing, starting to, get involved with the Navigators back in 2015? You've seen a lot of changes at Fraser Field over the years. So when you came to the Navs in 2015, what was that experience like?
Throughout the years, the founder of You're With Us, Michael Polanski, actually got me started that year as I was finishing up high school. And then there's been many different coaches throughout the years. Um, but I'd say that between this year and probably 2019 have been a couple of the best teams that we've had, which has really made a difference in the standings and the vibe that I get within the players and the dugout.
Yeah, so you're getting a good vibe this year from this team. It's been a special group to be a part of this year. What are your expectations personally going forward for the playoffs? Tomorrow night is Monday night, and we'll play in Keene, New Hampshire, as the last game of the regular season. Then playoffs will start. As you mentioned, you want to be here on Tuesday to host the playoff game. But what are you looking forward to? Either we're home or away for the playoffs with this group.
Hopefully, for playoffs, hopefully, anyways, home game, and basically to send out our best pitcher, best offensive lineup, put up a good beginning game, and then just keep moving through the playoffs for more experience and more thrills. Because me speaking, anyways, I don't want to have it just be a 1 game playoff and then we're done. So I do feel like without plenty of the lineup and power guys that we have, I feel like we have a decent chance to start making people kind of surprised.
Fans will definitely need that. And obviously the fans, they're going to want you getting them hype. You get them hype between games, you get the fans going, and that definitely has helped the team, I think, a couple times this season. So would you say that's like your favorite part of just being at these games, especially now with fans in the stands after last year not being able to have any fans? Would you say that's your favorite part, just getting them hype in general before games and, obviously during the game as well?
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't know if that's the favorite thing or thing I look forward to, but I feel like since I don't enjoy losing, I do try to get people pumped up so that way it can kind of start something to give us an edge of motivation. But then once I get along with some of the umps, it's not like I'm trying to get thrown out, but some of them do become friendly with me, and there's been some throughout the years that have been quite a difference maker, I guess.
Yeah, it was also, one of the last questions I wanted to ask you too. I see you obviously go out to, talk to the umpires during the games and, have a conversation with them, whether it's just giving them balls or even spending time and talking with them. Any umpires in particular that you can remember that have been, I don't want to say difference makers, but have been, a big part of your time as a navigator?
I feel like since this is the first year that I've been with the team as part of the NECBL standings, that and which is got slightly different umps between that Nelman, the Futures League. I feel like it's kind of like there's a few different good umps in both leagues, but I feel like I'm not gonna just sit here and play favorite makers, even though there are a few that are better than others.
So one last question.
Say the same too, right?
Yeah, one last question for you before
I feel
we sign.
I hear them. I hear other people chirping it before I even start, and I feel like it's because they don't like angles of certain calls and
Right.
stuff.
Definitely, we've seen that before. So one last question before we sign off on this interview. This has been great to have you on the podcast. Do you have a message for Navs Nation as we get ready for the postseason?
I just hope that if we do, in fact, have a home game, I advise everybody throughout Navs Nation, everywhere, to come out, fill the stands, and basically sell out Fraser Field and help us keep moving on through just more than one game and keep us going.
Well, thank you, Nick, for joining us on this podcast. And that's obviously a great message to Navs Nation. Nick Jarvis, Honorary General Manager of the North Shore Navigators. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us on this edition of the Navs Nation podcast.
Thank you, Gus and Nick. You guys have been great this year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate your time.
Well, that was a great interview with Nick Jarvis. I want to thank him so much for joining us on the podcast. And I wanted to get him on. He was definitely someone we've had on our minds to have on the Navs Nation podcast for a number of weeks now. We're very glad that we were able to get that. So thank you to Nick Jarvis for joining us.
Yeah, it was great to have Nick on. Great to get to know him this year and get his perspective on what it's like down on the field during games, but also his perspective heading into the playoffs. But going into Tuesday, keep an eye on social media. This will be out on Tuesday for you guys. Keep an eye on social media about tonight's game, where that playoff game will be held, whether in Montpelier or Fraser. And if it's at Fraser, as Nick Jarvis says, we want to see everyone come out, everyone pack those stands and support. Looking forward to, one last run at Fraser Faithful. I'm recording on Monday, and I'm really just hopeful that we have that last home game of the year, at least one more. So keep an eye on social media for that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely would be nice to have a home crowd on Tuesday in support of the Navigators as we head into the playoffs. That's going to do it for us here for the Navs Nation podcast. For Nick Pernick, this is Gus Balo. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 12 of the Navs Nation podcast. And we'll see you next week for another edition. And go Navs as they head into the playoffs.